It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Rudy Shango Theophin, and I'm here with our amazing guests, Mrs. Jarova and Dave Burney. And we're here. We're going to talk about a few things that's going on in the city, things that are planned. You know, we have a lot of things going on in the city, a lot of movement going on. You know, talk to the people. What do you have in plan? What do you have in mind?
Oh my goodness. So I'm from New York, but
Okay.
I've been in Miami for 6 years
Oh, these
now.
New Yorkers.
Yes. But listen, I came, before everybody got the idea. So hopefully that makes it a little better. um, so the last year I started throwing, I'm a music artist as
Okay.
well as a business owner.
What type of business you own?
Yeah. So I have a digital marketing business in the finance
I'm gonna need
space.
your card. Yeah.
Yes. So that's my daytime persona, right? Irina Jarova, digital dive marketing. And so I help a lot of financial advisors, get clients, accountants,
So
recruiters.
you market. So let's say I'm a portfolio manager for some small boutique firm.
Yeah.
You'll market to ensure that they get some
They'll get some business. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's I guess my bread and butter, right?
And you only stay in the finance sector, or you branch out a little bit?
I do. I started out working with attorneys in the beginning just because of my background. I was a litigation paralegal, so I'd go to court with attorneys, and so that's how I got started. But yeah, finance kind of just I got sucked into that world, and I'm so happy that I did because I really enjoy what I do today, and it gives me the freedom and the flexibility to focus on growing my record label.
Okay.
So Out Loud Records, that's what's throwing the events.
Okay.
So I throw music showcases in Miami and around Miami, and I work with a lot of independent artists. I'm an independent artist myself, as it is my own record label. And I really, truly am in love with these showcases. I feel like creating community is what has been the driving force of the events that I started. Last year, I think I threw over maybe close to 40
Wow, you're
showcases.
getting busy. What actually inspired you to get into the music scene? What drove you?
Oh my gosh, this is so good. I think if you're an artist and you have the calling, you're gonna have to answer the calling.
Okay, you listen to that voice.
Because I really didn't want to. So I feel like I had got the calling early on in life. We were just talking about this before the podcast. I moved to United States when I was 8 years old. So at that point, I was just, excited to soak up this new culture. And I was automatically drawn to all the music videos. I just wanted to be like the artist in the music videos,
Would you say that, because I feel that there's a lot of similarity between Moscow and New York or St. Peter's, because sometimes most people they know Moscow,
right?
And it's funny, like I was telling you, St. Petersburg was the original capital of Russia.
Yes, that's where I was born.
Do you feel it's like there's a similarity? Because I mean, it's pretty massive.
It's a big city, but honestly, where we lived in like outside of St. Petersburg.
Oh, so you're an outskirt.
So yeah, so I remember growing up, it was just a tight-knit community. And then moving to New York when I was 8 years old, that was a big transition for me. I felt like, wow, like the big city, right? Yeah. And we were living in Staten Island. So then we would, cross the bridge to get to the city, right? Mm-hmm. So New York City. So lots of fun memories of, just growing up in New York. And that's where I really got the itch for music because I just felt like, New York.
So you feel like the exposure to all these talent that you have, the fusion of talents in New York that influenced you?
The melting pot, for sure. I was 100%, I would say, just influenced by the fact that there's just so much talent there. And, I was constantly exposed to it, magazines, TV, radio, and it just something I never at that time in my life thought that I would do. So I felt like as the immigrant child, I picked the safe bet with, me going into the legal profession. And then that's when I was saying about, answering your calling is I did that. And I was like, if I have to do this for the next 40 years of my life, like, I don't think that I would be happy doing this. So this is when the roundabout started to happen, and I needed to figure out, how do I go from this career path that I chose? How do I get into the arts and music now? Like, it was a very...
So was it like a crossroad between, okay, this is the profession I'm taking to pay the bills, but this is what my heart desires?
Well, truthfully, when I thought I wanted to be an attorney, I think that was also very much like what I wanted to do at that point. But once I got there, once I was so close to, okay, now it's time to go to, law school, my mom was like, hey, why don't you go work for a law firm and see how it is? So I got that experience, and I was fully into it then. It was just when I started to, figure out like, I wish... what if, the what if started happening? What if I had pursued my desire for music that I had as a kid a little bit more? And so at one point I just kind of woke up, I guess, and was like, okay, so what's next? And that's when I put the brakes on what I was doing. I literally quit that safe corporate job.
Wow.
And
you're pretty bold.
With really no plan.
Very, very bold. Listen, Mom, I'm going to follow my dreams, but I got to quit my job first before we get where we got to go.
Yes.
Wow,
and
that's
so
wow.
The first 6 months were really rocky. I ran through my savings, and I did not make any money. And so I went back to corporate for another year. And once I left corporate again in a year, that's when I started my marketing company. And then after that, that's what allowed me to relocate to Miami from New York. And once I got to Miami, I linked up with my now producer, Michelle Trumpler, and we just started working on this mammoth of a project that I have.
Okay. When do you expect that project to be released?
It's in mastering right now, which is the final step. So there's the professional recording at the studio. You do the songwriting, you create all the music, then you mix it. It took a year to mix this project because I was just recording. I wasn't mixing for years. So I started recording, I would say like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Last year was all just mixing the album. And this year now it's just mastering, and then I'm gonna have the rollout. So
how would you compare the music scene in Miami or in South Florida market versus New York? Because I mean New York, we got like plethora of artists of all types. That is Woodkid. We got everything in New York, but this is a pretty interesting market, to say the least.
I would say for me, the New York market was a little tough.
You feel like it was saturated?
I think I make alternative hip hop music, right?
Okay.
And kind of my spin on Afrobeats and pop, and my take on urban, right?
Okay.
So I think I wasn't New York enough in New York.
That sounds like New York.
Yeah.
That's a pretty New York statement.
And when I got here, I felt more freedom. So actually, working on the album, I really wanted it to be true to myself. So when I first got here, I'm fighting for survival to stay in Miami, right? I've quit.
This is an
I've
expensive
quit
city.
Everything, right?
Can you say that part one more time? There's a lot of people that say, Rudy T, I want to come to Miami. I'm like, listen, don't listen to no one. It's expensive to live out here. You can't even pretend that you got money anymore. You got to actually have money. So don't think she was blessed. She was chosen. Make sure you're chosen too.
I also came in 2019, so I had a little bit.
Oh, that
I had a little bit
favor.
of of the favor, because I think then it was right before everything got
that
super crazy, right?
Super expensive, yeah.
But basically, I wasn't thinking that I was, writing this diary piece, but I was. It's called American Dream is the name of the album, because I'm the immigrant child having the American dream. But so when I first started writing the album, I'm going hard. I'm talking about money on every song, about making it, about...
American Dream is about making money.
It sure is.
It's about American Dream, the American cream. Let's get the money, yeah.
It sure is. Yeah. And then next thing you know, as I was starting to get a little bit more exposure here, and I was starting to go into a lot more events and things, I'm talking about and rapping about the, the music industry. And so
Are you like
we'll touch.
criticizing it or
Yes, in
okay?
both, in many ways. But in other ways, I'm just talking about the reality of it. I have a song called "It's Showbiz," right? So I'm talking
I saw
about.
you perform that song.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm talking about the realities of it, and not even from like just a woman's standpoint, but just in general, like showbiz. You know,
It's
being a
not
tough
real.
industry,
Yeah.
you really got to have thick skin. And then as I continued to write more, um, I started to get softer in my writing. So, by some of it, I'm talking about entering my goddess era, and
What does that mean? I hear women say goddess. Or
good.
I'm a little old fashioned.
No,
So
I love that you asked that question
yeah.
because I think it's the masculine and the feminine energies. When I became a business owner, I went heavy into my masculine energy. I had to. I had to survive, I had to make it. I had to prove something to myself and to everyone else, I guess, that counted me out. But once I got on my feet and things started to get, a little bit more sane, and I had my systems and my processes, I had my clients, I had my business, that's when I felt like I could let my hair down.
That's really interesting you said that because I had a conversation with a few women business owners, and sometimes they'll come to me, have conversations, ask me like, how do you do it? How do you manage? Even the word manager is man, like why is it? And I try to explain to them, you have to be tough in business.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but you got rules, you got expectation, you got quota, you have overhead, you have bills to pay.
Yes.
Right? So business is business. My motto is business, leverage everything, Bible. I literally mean that.
Yes.
Business is business. And so you have to be tough, you have to be disciplined. And sometimes when I meet certain people and I'll meet certain women, they said, I said, if you want to start a business, the bottom line is to make the bottom line. You have to be profitable.
You have to be profitable.
Right? So you have friends, there's no friendship, there's no family, there's the F, it's finance.
Yeah.
Right? So if it doesn't produce a profit, it's not profitable. If the individual is not producing, it doesn't matter if it's your friend, right? Because business is business.
Yeah, it has to solve a problem
100%.
At the end of the day, right? So So I talked about all that in my album in the beginning, but in a rap form, right? Hip hop. Okay. And then in 2023, I started singing. So that was new for me.
So you rap and you sing and you have a record label and you have you own a company. What talk about, Dave? You can't make this up.
I know.
This is what New York breeds. It literally creates individuals with a mentality that say, look, I'm going to follow my dream. I'm going to come to Miami, an expensive city. I'm going to find a way to navigate. I'm going to create my company, right? I'm going to use my skill set and experience. And then I'm still going to make sure that I have a record label and I'm creating a community out here in the South Florida market, which is a very difficult market to break through. And her event that I went to, it was a good turnout. They had the food truck outside, and the food truck was amazing, by the way. And it's just having those concepts, building those contacts and leveraging it. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I have to say that the showcases happened on their own. So the other stuff I pushed for, I really did. But the shows, I just think it was just, I was that person that, other artists can come to and tell me what they're looking for. And I'm like, I agree. Like, I want that too. Like, where are these performance opportunities? I don't want to pay to perform, which is a weird concept that we have now. And also, I don't want to go on competition shows. I don't want to compete. Like, I just want to share my art. And so as I started to share that message, other artists started to share it. And honestly, it was like a venue that I went to. They were super excited about me throwing an open mic. Next thing you know, now I have a residency. Next thing you know, artists are reaching out to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this happening? Because
so quickly, yeah.
So quickly. So in a matter of a year, really, I now am this point person for artists, and I love it. I love helping artists. I think it's because of the experiences that I've been over the last decade of trying to break through in the industry, not having anyone there to help me. And so if I could be that help for another artist to make them believe in themselves when I didn't have that, like.
You hear that, my neighbors? She's independent.
Yes.
Independent. How many do you have? Anyone like currently signed to your record label?
I am signed to my own record label.
That's a level of independency.
And I will tell every artist that you should do the same exact thing. Make sure that you start your own company. Make sure that you sign yourself, because everything that you create, just remember you are at the top of the food chain. So you want to make sure that you have your business together. Don't let anyone else do the paperwork for you. Don't let anyone else collect your royalties. Don't let anyone else do any of the signing for you. Because if you don't have control over your business, you don't have control over your music, it's not a fun ride.
My name is Rudy Shango Theophin, and I endorse those comments. Dave, talk to me. What about you? What's going on?
Wow. Hearing your flight, it makes me think about my entire flight of where I've gone through. It's totally different. Of course, I'm not in the music industry.
You're not a rapper, Dave?
But I am in the club industry.
All right.
So when I went to Florida State University, I'm from Miami, I have 4 sisters and a brother, and I went to Florida State University. And when I graduated, my mom said I had to get this thing called job. So I had to get a job, and I got a job on in downtown Miami. And then I was there about 10 months selling copy machines and fax machines.
You were selling copy machines?
Yeah, selling copy machines and fax machines. And then I sold a $100,000 copy machine to a merchant service company on Miami Beach. So I started on the side, signing clubs and restaurants, growing up in Miami, knowing friends that are bartenders and managers. I had the little ins, and I got some deals here and there and got some chains. And then I resigned from the copier business, and I worked for the merchant service company. And I remember my mom wouldn't let me at first. So I had to bring my mommy to these owner guys, and they had to convince my mom that I could switch to them. So anyways, so in 2001, I worked there for about 2 years, and then they started charging people wrong and doing things incorrectly. And I had, when I was there, they had me do the submissions, the paperwork, the programming, the deployment, everything, calling the bank. And they were always gone. They were dating dancers. Yes, they were, which that helped me also get into that realm. And they were never there. So I ran the whole company, and I was right out of college. So when I asked my parents to help monetarily do the same thing, I duplicated the same thing. I contacted the vendors, I contacted the banks, I put it all together. And it was way back in 2001 where it was doable. Now the whole realm is different. So at first I had no money. And what I would do is I would go to restaurants and nightclubs that were my clients, and I'd go to happy hour and I would eat their chicken wings. I would eat their pizza.
That's a good way to
I would
network.
hang out and visit my clients. I couldn't eat at home. I didn't have any money.
Right.
So at a certain point, I was able to rent a place. It was like $1,500 a month. And I remember I would borrow money for bills.
You said
and
$1,500 a month?
$1,500 a month.
Back in the days,
then.
that's a good place.
Yeah.
It was little. It was little. And, eventually now 20 years later, it's like amazing to look back at your plight of where you went. And, now I have a 23-year-old company. I have 5 employees, a business partner. I have top of the line software, and it connects to liquor control. And, I'm getting into hotels and casinos, and it's sales. And I really enjoy it. And by being successful in a business, I'm able to give back and be involved in a couple volunteer organizations that I really enjoy. One of them is the Orange Bowl. This year, I'm chairman of the Orange Bowl. And we have the quarterfinal and the national championship, which is January 16th, 2026.
Okay.
Oh,
we have nothing in 2025 because it overlaps with the new 12-game format with the football. We also have the World Cup. So with those, I am overseeing the volunteers on game day. So anyone 18 and over,
I'm excited over the World Cup. To say I'm excited is literally an understatement. Okay, it's the World Cup. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, anyone can be a volunteer on the field. Special experience. There's also different things on the Orange Bowl. People can sign up on Orange Bowl Matrix Volunteer on Google, and you can sign up. there's several things opening, but you know, knowing that what you give back and what you do for volunteerism besides your career and stuff like that, you know, it's a good thing. You can't just work and stay home. You got to give back and get involved in the
I think,
community, and it all works in the karma of
I
your
think
life.
we always need a balance, right? Um, you know, a friend of mine was saying like, you know, they found out I do things on the side, volunteer work, and I say that it's not enough that you made it financially. I don't feel that your life is fulfilled if you don't look at how can you help others. Fulfillment comes from not just making it to the top of that hill or that mountain. Fulfillment, in my viewpoint, comes from now I'm on the top of the mountain. Now I could see things clearly. I got a perfect perspective of the future, hindsight, etc., etc. It's easy to be on the top of that mountain. It's tougher to go down and say, who else can I bring up that mountain? And that to me is very important. I think there is a lack of just humanity and human, and we should always invest in ourselves internally and do the work. I'm at a place of self discovery, and I said, well, how can I be a better version of myself? So my goal every day is, how can I be a better version of myself? And when I tell the universe, say, listen, I want to be a better version, you know, God's gonna test you. Whatever you say, okay, you want patience? Okay. I'm gonna have this teenager. The parent's gonna make you talk to this teenager, and trust me, he's gonna test your patience. You know, when you're in the road, you know, Miami traffic.
Oh.
You know, the light is not green, but someone's honking the horn. You know, that's another test. The opportunity to test to see that you are what you say you are, it's going to be there, right? So it's very important for us to try to be the best version of ourselves, but it only can take place when you're honest with yourself, right? We have to be honest with ourselves. Like me, I said, look, man, you know, I drink a whole lot. Anyone knows me, I'm 65% liquor, right? And then I said, you know, I'm 41, I'm getting older, I got to slow down. So I made it my mission to say, okay, this year, and even my close friend who just left, you know, he's like, he did 5 days not drinking. And it's a whole movement, and it's not like I'm anti-drinking per se, but it's really, I want to be the best version of myself. And I feel that if I consume in the manner in which I consume, which is a lot, it limits me from reaching that potential. So sometimes people get uncomfortable, like, you're not drinking. I was like, I had high blood pressure. You know how I resolved it? Just by not drinking.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm in nightclubs, strip clubs, restaurants at night, day in and day out, week in and weekend, month in and month out, and I can hang with the best of them. I'm drinking like ginger ale, and I'm hanging and I'm partying, and I've been known my whole life to be able to hang with people. They're drinking, they're partying, whatever they're doing, I can hang. You can still have fun and not partake. So, you know,
listen,
that's a great thing health-wise to do that, but also it's not going to stop the fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, right? He was saying how, particularly, he went on a date with a girl, and he's like, you know, I don't drink, because he's into fitness, and he's like, I don't drink. And the girl said, he's a red flag. I said, well, he's a red flag. It's like, she said she doesn't, any man who doesn't drink, something's wrong with him. Oh, and it's I know it's an interesting society, and I was just like, I mean, it's, you know, everyone have their reasons. Sometimes it's religious, sometimes it's health wise. With me, it was health wise, my blood pressure. And then of course there's a religious element as well too, but more so my health wise. And I literally stopped drinking, and my blood pressure just
evened out.
Yeah, evened out. You know, I'm 41. It's not like, you know, I'm 21, and I drink more than the average man. Let's just put it like that, right? And I drink a whole lot. And so I start asking myself questions like, why do you drink? And if I'm drinking to have fun, that's one thing, that's social drinking. But then there was other things, and I said, I look into the world, and I looked at the world, and I said, man, the world is a dark place. You know, when I interact with like elected officials and people in politics, they say one thing, do another, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of villains. But the new villains, they don't look like villains, right? They smile, they're happy. So, you know, you think that they're good people, but they're the worst of the worst.
Mm.
Because the old villains, you knew they were villains. They look like villains. The new villains, they look like heroes. And so, you can't change the world, right? Not one person
You can
can do
change
that.
your world.
100%.
Yeah.
Wayne Dyer says when you something to the effect that when you change the way you look at things, the way you see things change,
yeah.
right?
Perspective
And I
is
truly believe in
everything.
that perspective. I think that you may not be able to change the world,
Mm-hmm.
but you can change yourself for the better. Be a
Mm.
beacon of light, beacon of hope for the world. I could say, man, it's raining outside, or I could get my umbrella, right? I could say, man, this guy's horrible. What is my elected official doing? Or I could say, what can I do to make a difference?
There was a quote that really helped with this concept for me, which is that things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me. And so there's a couple of quotes when I was starting my business that I still remember to today. That was one of them. And then the other one was about change. So this is a quote by Albert Einstein, which is, doing the same thing every day, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity.
100%.
That's what actually pushed me over, I guess, the edge or whatever you want to call it, to quit something that was tried and true and try something that was off the beaten path, because I was like, I don't want to be insane. I don't want to do the same thing every day. I know what I'm going to get. And I also liked something when you said just now about, becoming the best version of yourself.
100%.
This journey for me, and I think that's why, I'm sticking to my guns, is it helps me become a better person. I have to, because when you're in the line of work that really lights you up, you have no choice but to become better or to not do it at the same level that you can do it at. And that's probably why you were like, oh, let me rethink some of my habits. There's definitely times that, I'm doing an event and I'm tired. And if I did drink, I wouldn't be able to actually do the event. I have to, at that point, just stick to getting it done. You know what I mean? But in general, that's why I think for me, music is it. I'm really good at business. I'm really good at these other things, but the reason it's I call it my North Star is because when I'm aiming for this thing that I once thought was super out of my reach and impossible, just by aiming at this, I'm becoming a better person, because it's forcing me to grow into what I guess you can call your higher self as well. So
that's pretty interesting.
I love that.
It goes to a concept that I when I talk from time to time, one of the quotes that I've written that sometimes I write things and I'm like, wow, this is impressive, or I like it. I used to say that it's not. Don't say, why is this happening to me?
Right.
Because you could say, why is this happening to me? God, why is this happening to me? Or you can have the mentality, what can I learn from this? And once I ask myself that question, well, what can I learn from this? My entire outlook on anything in life, lost a close friend to cancer, lost a mother for cancer, lost father for cancer, lost, but it was just it was not just about, I could say why is this happening to me? Why am I losing family members? Or I could say, well, what can I learn from this? Well, is it something that they're eating? Is some external? And it really woke up something that was sleeping within me to do research. And then I said, I want to learn more about cancer. I want to learn, what can we do to combat it, right? And that to me is a very, very important question. That's actually one of the most important questions one should ask themselves out of many important questions. It definitely was a pleasure interacting with you, but I do want to make sure that we got some closing information. If you have any updates, if you can give people your contact information.
I just want to touch upon what you said.
Yeah.
Having that much loss in your life, I can't even imagine what you've gone through, but to be such a positive soul and to provide so much for other people, I really appreciate you even more now than I didn't know before. So and thank you so much for having me as well.
Yes, you want to say your
okay.
Insta?
Okay, guys. So if you want to contact me, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a venue, whoever you might be, just reach out on Instagram. It's the best way to reach me. It's Jarova Music. So right there on the screen. Jarova. Jarova Music. And you guys can also follow outloud.records on Instagram as well. I'm easy to get in touch, and I'm really excited to bring the music community together here in South Florida. I love it. I love doing it, and we're just going to keep seeing where it takes us.
All right, that was great. And my company, nationwidepaymentsystems.com. You can find that on the internet. Any hospitality, restaurant, club, bar, strip club, hotel, casino, call me up. With the Orange Bowl, it's orangebowl.org. We're looking at January 16th, 2026. You want to volunteer, you want to network, you want to get behind the scenes in sports. We have some great stuff coming up. Go to orangebowl.org. And Rudy, I want to thank you again for having us on.
Listen, it definitely was a pleasure. It definitely was a pleasure. Listen, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Rudy Shango Theophin. Don't just be excellent. I'm out.